welcome back, John.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. Always good to be here.
Yeah. So, new episode here. We're going to talk a little bit about what is this thing called love and just some other just general stuff. But we do want to say, please hit the like button and subscribe.
Yeah, somewhere down over there.
Yeah.
There's the like button and a bell and the announcement and click everything.
Yeah, click everything because it really does help the channel. So if you do enjoy and get value, help us out a little bit. And you've got cables.
Yeah.
Custom cables.
I do custom cables, custom wiring. It's kind of my specialty. I do repairs and setups and all the usual stuff. But
yeah,
I love the different and the unusual. And
nice.
I like to solder things. Yeah.
That's great because I'm, usually banging my head up against the wall when I try to solder something.
Yeah. Well, I generally say most people should not own a soldering iron.
Right.
Because it doesn't end well.
Yeah.
If you have something like that, hit us up on here. You know, we're in the Baltimore area, but I have people ship stuff to me.
That's right.
So happy to help you all with whatever you need.
Yeah, awesome. A couple things on this tune. We were talking about a little bit on this on the lessons and talks in the member area, which if you're interested in that, check the description down below. But the 2.5s are kind of an interesting area in this one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because it is mostly 2.5s.
Yeah. We get 2.5s with some with minor 7 flat 5. Right, and then others that have maybe the dominants have flat 9 in them, where you might also use altered scale or something crazy like that on some of them. And that's one of the things that it's fun, I think, about improvising in general is not saying, well, you have to use this scale on this thing or this chord scale or whatever. It could be different next chorus, or it could be, you could change mid measure,
Yeah.
So
I've been known to do that a lot.
Yeah. Keep it interesting. Keep us on our toes. Right?
Yeah. There's so much opportunity for movement here, because it isn't just plain boring 2.5s.
Yeah.
It throws so much color. And there, you have so much harmonic motion.
Yeah.
You could really play the whole tune just thinking about extensions.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. And that's a really cool way to play, maybe triads or just like, upper, what are they called? Upper extension.
Upper extensions. Yeah. Where you just, let let whoever's comping behind you handle the lower triads,
lower part,
sort of the standard bits. And you can just think 9, 11, 13s and their variants.
Right. And when you think about chord scales, I like to emphasize the major scale, harmonic minor scale, harmonic major scale, and the melodic minor. And you can really handle a lot of those extensions, right? So you have the lower 4 notes of the chords, which you can split up into 2 different triads,
right,
overlapping, and then those upper structure triads. Some of those choices can be helped by understanding some of those 4 scales and things, and just what is going to kind of work. And I haven't really put my finger on a good way to describe what I want to get across as far as how to teach scales necessarily.
Yeah, I've fought with that forever.
Okay.
Because there is the standard, here's the book.
Yeah.
Learn this until your eyes water. And then go to the next one.
Yeah.
There'll be a quiz. It's I mean, the best thing I ever heard was my old teacher who made me think in terms of just, 1 through 7. And in a major scale, here's the relationship between the 1 and the 2, the 2 and the 3, the 3 and the 4. Here's how much space you have between.
Yeah.
And then you can start adding on that, which takes you right to the national number system like we talked about the other week.
Yeah.
It's really, really handy. But if you can understand that, you're going a whole step, half step, whole step,
Yeah.
If you understand that relationship, I think it makes all the the scale structures very mobile.
Right.
You're not stuck saying, okay, well, that's a C, so I need to start there or here or here.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If you can, then I want to go E flat.
Yeah.
Same interval spacing. To me, that's what makes the most sense.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thinking relative to maybe a root note or
relative to the root note or relative to the previous note.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So is it a half step or a whole step? Yeah. Most of these scales fall into that, and then they're augmented seconds on the harmonic major and harmonic minor.
Yeah. So if you think, like I say, to me, if you just think in intervals, it becomes very simple because you're not trying to memorize every single note in every single scale.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get the intervals, then the notes will seem to fall into place.
Yeah.
As you play them, you're kind of going, oh, okay, well that's 3. That's an E in C. Oh, I just learned that the third of C is an E.
Right.
Because I went 1, 2, 3.
Yep. And you go every other note, and you even just stack. Do 2 octaves in thirds. You actually end up with all the notes.
All of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
So to me, that makes most sense. But for you folks out there, tell us, how does it work for you?
Yeah.
What makes sense for learning scales? Is there something you'd like to hear us explain?
Yeah. Exactly. So I was talking to a student over the weekend who wants to try to put it all together.
Okay.
I was telling him a little bit of my experience with Walter Namath. He was out of Baltimore area, and I took lessons from him. I think I mentioned him on the channel, but he played with the Buddy Rich Band for 10 years and used to actually warm the band up as a drummer, which I didn't learn from him. I learned that from Steve Novosel. He told me about that. But anyway, so he was saying that when he was learning and trying to get to a good level, professional level or whatever, that he was trying to think about this idea of like, how do you put it all together? How do you get it all together? So it's a lot of different angles on things, I think, but it's really hard to kind of put your finger on it. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I mean, you've got chordal, melodic, and rhythmic. Kind of the 3 parts of the song. Fitting melodic to chordal, to me, especially as a solo player, that's the trickiest bit.
Okay.
The rhythm is actually the easiest thing because you can sort of add that and change that later.
Yeah.
But to get that core of the song down. So me being me, I tend to break things down like that.
Okay.
I'm like, here's the chordal bit.
Yeah.
Here's the melodic bit.
Yeah.
How do they fit?
Right.
I want to know how these 2 disparate things work together. Because once I have that in my head going, oh, okay, the melody sits along, goes in a flat third, and and I've got some interesting things, then it goes to a major third of the root, and I've got this over here, and then it makes sense to me.
Yeah. And then us on guitar, we could take some of these notes and just kind of harmonize them. Right. Make a little motion under. Right.
So you're just taking each of the melodic notes of the melody, and applying parts of the chords.
Yeah, just kind of under
it.
Under that sound. Yeah. And just trying to find one of the inversions that's gonna kind of fit it. So if you have the flat third on a G minor 7 flat 5, then if I'm using this type of voicing, then I'm maybe root position. So I would do something like that. And if I have a root on it, then I might use third inversion.
Yeah.
For that. Right. So that helps.
Yeah. And so much of that depends on if you're working by yourself.
Yeah.
Or you got a bass player or a piano player, or, if you got a bass player, then, a lot of time we're going to eventually give you the root note.
Right.
Somewhere along the way.
Somewhere in there.
So
it's inevitable.
Yeah, sooner or later. So that lets you play with second inversion, third inversion.
Yeah.
More top-end extension things because, I got that.
Yeah.
I'll have the root.
So when you as a bass player are kind of connecting that melody and harmony, do you have a certain visualization on the instrument or not really? Or is just kind of like hearing the note orally from a singer or from and just maybe trying to relate it back to the
because usually
note you're playing?
If it's a standard, I have the melody going in my head.
Yeah.
And then I hear what the soloist or the singer is doing on it. And that is going to inform my decision about where I go. I really, stuff like this where we're 2 5s, great. That actually makes things a little easier so I can pay more attention to what's going on. But if I hear them do something interesting, I might follow along and start playing with inversions and reharmonizations and things to go in new and exciting places.
Yeah.
But as a basic structure, I'm just going to look at it and say, this is a standard sight reading thing. What's the clef if I'm reading notes?
Yeah.
Make sure you're in the clef you read. I've been handed like alto clef parts and go, what do I do with that? Clef, time signature, key signature. Then look at the map. And say, okay, I've got this here, this here, this here, this here. We go back to here, we go over here. We're out.
Yeah.
Actually, the last thing I look at is the chord structure.
Okay. Yeah. And that just kind of falls into places as maybe a go, or if you have some time to look at it, you might investigate that.
Yeah, I want to know where I'm going first. And then how I'm getting there.
Yeah.
And the chords are definitely the how.
The how you're getting. Yeah, exactly.
Because missing a coda when you're playing with like a big band or something, really embarrassing.
Oh yeah. That's where the highlighter comes out.
Yeah.
Right. If you're given copies of things.
Yeah. So that is how I attack it. But so much is informed by what the players around me are doing.
Yeah. Yeah, we've both done big bands. We both played together and big bands. I will say, you will never, ever find the sign, the signo. You will never, ever find that.
No.
You will see it when you first pick it up.
Yeah.
But you will never, ever see it.
It disappears.
No, it's gone.
I know it's some kind of mystical ink that they write it with. But I have actually carried those little tiny Post-its, the little strip Post-its, like bright orange, and stuck those to pages.
Oh yeah.
Because you get sometimes it's like, halfway through the first ending is the sign where it goes to the first coda. And
Let's hope you don't get 2 signs.
Had that. And there's a key change in the middle, of course, or something. Highlighters and Post-its are your friends.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk a little, if you're interested, which I know I'm always interested. I think you are too, about gear. Well, maybe more towards software. So we've both been checking out the iZotope. They just came out with this Ozone 11.
Yeah.
I'll let everybody know that on the last duo recording, I did use their mastering. I demoed their mastering on the Ozone 11, and I'm pretty blown away. Usually, I'm not like totally blown away, but one feature in particular that really got me was the clarity.
Yeah, it's just. There's the old cliche of, opening a curtain or cleaning off a window.
Yeah.
In this case, it is absolutely true.
Yeah, it's really nice.
It's surprising. This is a major step up.
I think so too. I don't know what is going on with it, but I mean the word describes it well enough, and then you can go up or down and
play with it. Yeah,
yeah,
I
it's
think
really good.
they're taking advantage of the level of hardware that we have now. Like computers are just so ridiculously powerful.
Yeah, they are.
You know, my iPad has the same power as my MacBook Pro.
Wow. Yeah.
Who'd have thought, right? So so they're just leveraging that power
Yep.
to say, oh, cool, now we can do this. Now we can do that. And the interfaces, like you've got the UAD interface and RME. You just got the RME interface. These things have serious processing built into the interface.
Yeah.
It's not just a A to D, D to A converter anymore.
That's right. They have processors in there.
Yeah, so they're companies like Ozone or Isotope and some of these other companies completely escape me. I know that there's a developer I like who goes by DDMF who makes brilliant plugins.
Okay.
He does the same thing. It's like he makes my favorite preamp plugin, which is a exact copy of a Neve EQ preamp.
Yeah.
Insanely good.
Wow.
So yeah, this guy's taking advantage of all this. And you look at you can get a Pultec EQ with the separate mid thing.
Yeah, I've played around with the plugins on the Pultec, and I'm impressed by those.
Yeah, that is the sound of the 60s and 70s and 80s. I mean, everything had a Pultec on it.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I've been running. I'm not doing it right now, but I have been running from time to time a little EQ plug-in through it with the guitar sound. Yeah, I just really like it.
Yeah, it can give us real shine to things. You know, give a real polish to the sound.
Yeah.
I love a good EQ preamp. There's another company called Red Rock Sound that does, again, ridiculous plugins, even for iOS, iPad OS and iOS. These things are cheap, and they've gone through and basically cloned API and Trident and Neve and some obscure Russian stuff. And these things are brilliant.
Okay.
And it's really cool to be able to go through and go, okay, that's API, that's Trident, that's Neve, that's this, that's that, and decide what flavor you want to hear.
And it's really cool, I think, because for at least just to mention one reason, unless you work in some like really huge studio that has all that hardware, and then you have the time to just play around in there, which is probably pretty rare, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
How do you get to know these sounds and stuff like that? But
it
you
was
get software versions. It may not be exact, but
it's closer than you were,
and getting closer and closer all the time.
Yeah, I mean the DDMF plugin I'm talking about. He actually, there's a trick on this Neve EQ which is like $5,000 for this thing for one channel.
Yeah,
totally worth it. But there's a trick where even when you bypass the EQ section, it's still running through the transformers.
Okay.
So it still sounds like Neve.
Yeah.
Even when it's technically out of signal.
Yeah.
He did the same thing on the plugin.
Okay.
I mean, there's some really cool
the level of detail there.
Yeah,
it's just
where it's really finely modeled.
Okay.
Like Brainworks, I think you have some Brainworks plugins.
I do.
Where they've gotten really good at analyzing circuits and modeling them.
Yep. I was just checking out some of their Friedman
their amp models.
And really cool. So looking at that for some of my ensemble stuff, which you've helped me with as well, just to give those guys the sound or something close to what a Marshall might sound like. So yeah, it's really pretty cool.
It's an amazing time out there.
Yeah,
it really is. But folks, check out the Isotope. We're not on the payroll. We don't get anything from them. We wouldn't mind. But check out the Isotope stuff because it is. Try the demo. You can get some free stuff if you look carefully. You can find some heavily discounted stuff on sale, especially when a new version comes out.
Yeah,
they'll put the previous version on like a 90% off.
Yeah, yeah, you get what they call loyalty offers, I think.
Yeah.
I hope that stays because they were bought by Native Instruments.
Native Instruments,
right.
Or I'm not sure who bought who on that one, or if it was kind of a 50-50 split.
Yeah, I don't know the details,
don't know.
I can see the branding now of the Native Instruments.
Yeah, and hopefully that helps Native some because native has been frustrating to me at times.
Have they? Okay.
Yeah, some of the IK stuff, it's like I really, really want to like it.
Yeah.
But the iZotope folks really have it down.
Yeah. I use the Moto Bass 2, which is, I find really cool when you're not around. So that's kind of fun to play with. But another thing I use is Tune Tracks. Have you ever used that? Yeah, so they're kind of cool. I use their drum stuff.
Okay.
And I'm using some of the Universal Audio keyboards.
The UA stuff is gorgeous.
Yeah.
It really has that kind of Bill Pullman sound. It's the Bill Pullman, founder of UA.
Yeah.
There's a sound.
And his sons or his kids are still running it, right?
Still run the thing.
That's pretty cool.
And they're very careful about their dad's legacy, but they're also innovating like mad.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I think that's really cool. So you get, you can say here's the UA sound, here's the API sound, here's the Neve sound, kind of the big three,
Yeah.
And you can buy all that in plugins or in hardware.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So we were talking a little bit about playing live guitar, and you made some recommendations. I thought we might talk a little bit about that. So high pass
filters. Just about the most useful thing you can have in your rig.
Yeah. So out in front of before it hits the amp.
Before it hits anything, amps, effects, anything.
Yeah.
I've seen guys put them at the end of the effects chain. If it sounds better that way, great.
Right.
But definitely before the amp. For guitarists, you want a pretty sharp cutoff somewhere around between 60 and 70 hertz. Especially if you're down tuning, maybe 50, 60 hertz. But what you're doing is eliminating all that unnecessary low frequency information.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot, even, for bass players, we're playing, and there's this low frequency extra stuff. There's noise. We try to mitigate it. We don't really know we're making it a lot of times.
Yeah.
Sort of in the heat of battle, you don't notice.
Yeah.
But especially on guitar and bass, getting rid of that subsonic information you don't need opens up the sound drastically, and it lets the amp work better because it's not having to produce all that low frequency stuff, which sucks the power.
Yeah.
It takes a huge amount of power to make low notes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you're playing your guitar and you've got your picking style means that you've got a thump happening like around 40 hertz. That's approximately half the frequency of your low E. It's going to take twice as much power to reproduce that at the same volume as your E string. So it's pulling a lot of juice away from where it should be. But yeah, high pass filters, lots of companies make them. They're built into a lot of stuff. Use them, love them. They work.
Yeah.
Every upright bass player will tell you a high pass filter is absolutely necessary.
Yeah. So I know there are EQ pedals. You could probably get that to function as a high pass filter.
Yeah, and you can, but the slope will generally not be.
Right.
It'll be too shallow. The slope is how fast it drops off. Go this way because everything's backwards. So a standard EQ is usually about 6 decibels per octave as you're turning it down. So it's cutting it roughly in half each time.
Yeah.
You want something that's like 36, 48 dB. You want a pretty steep filter in there
to get rid of it.
You because 6 dB down is still really, really audible. 10 dB down is really audible. Your amp's still working hard.
Yeah.
If you don't need it, get it out of there.
Get it out of there.
And that goes for recordings too.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that when I do the EQ setting, I definitely, when I'm working on our recordings, I'll do a high pass filter and I'll just push it till I hear it. And then I just kind of back it off just a little bit.
That's the trick. I mean, there are some fixed ones, especially for bass, just a little tiny box, and they're sort of fixed around 30 hertz.
Okay.
Great. because you'd be amazed how much mud is down there.
Yeah.
It's this sort of subsonic and almost infrasonic stuff, and your amp is gasping trying to reproduce it.
Yeah.
And it's just drawing a lot of power off.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that Neve plugin I was talking about from DDMF has a low pass and high pass filter.
Yeah.
That you can turn on and off, one at each end. And yeah, I generally set, because I play mostly 6-string, I set that to actually 35, which is a couple hertz higher than my low string.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
Cleans things right up.
Cool. So another thing I thought we'd maybe discuss a little bit is ergonomics.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't sure if I was going to mention this or not today, but I sent an email out to this guy named Jay. I'm not sure his last name, but he's out in Italy, and he makes this this device called the Performax, and it pulls your guitar up, and it just kind of clamps here. I would imagine it would work for bass too, but it just gives you a little like leg rest. So if you sit down, like you're doing now, you have a strap, and that's what I oftentimes do if I'm playing is I'll have a strap on so the guitar sits higher.
Right.
But then you're kind of pulling your back a little bit.
Yeah.
So he's got this little device that just kind of clamps on and gives you a little bit of a leg rest.
Oh, that's neat.
So yeah, kind of cool.
That's cool. Do you know the guitarist Adrian Legg?
Yeah.
Yeah, the amazing guitarist. Adrian lives in London.
Okay.
He is 80-something years old and rides his bike. I mean, the guy's amazing. He's coming on tour to the U.S. again, so I'm happy about that. But he has this guitar that he built, 'cause he's an amazing luthier, and it has this funny-shaped pad that he made that like sets the guitar on his leg.
Oh, okay.
And puts it, looks like this little red velvet foam thing.
Yeah.
But he can just go, and it puts it right where he wants it.
Nice.
So that, same kind of thing. I know you and I have talked about like bass design. There's one I'm working on with a builder.
Okay.
And if you look at some of the better builders, Droz, Federa, some of these guys, this half of the bass, the lower half of the bass, is wider than this half of the bass because it brings it up.
Nice. Yeah.
Because you're thinking about where this is instead of trying to be symmetrical.
Yeah.
That doesn't work. You gotta like, I really wish this had another 2 inches under it.
yeah, exactly. And so I did a video on this guitar stand. I don't know if I told you about it, but it just holds the guitar up like this, and that way you're totally hands-free. And for camera, it just keeps your guitar,
right in focus and right there.
Focus and right there. So so you're not on camera doing like this and everything, but it really helps out with the back and everything. So yeah, ergonomics is really kind of a big deal, and the shape of the guitar, and violins and basses, and they have this shape, and it'd be interesting to look into the history of that too.
Yeah, it's really curious because if you look at like violones and viol de gambas and that sort of thing, it is all roughly kind of the same shape.
Yeah.
But they were meant to be kind of held between your knees. You kind of hold them here and play it like this.
Yeah.
And the shape has sort of become this. There's a singer-songwriter, St. Vincent, someone who I just think is amazing. She went to Ernie Ball and looked at him and said, "Guitars are not made for girls. Let's fix that."
Okay.
So there was a St. Vincent signature model, and it's this weird angular thing.
Okay.
Actually, it looks really cool for women because there are certain physical things that have to be dealt with.
Right.
Rick Toon, the great guitar designer and builder, he does the same thing. His ergonomic guitars.
Okay, excellent.
You look at him and go, "How is that playable?"
Okay.
And then you think about it and go, "Oh, okay, it makes perfect sense what he's doing."
Yeah.
So this is I think he even has his site's called the Ergonomic Guitar.
Okay.
But yeah, I love the idea of this thing from this guy in Italy where you can get it up. I've been playing for a very long time. So have you. Things start to hurt.
They do. Yeah. Yeah, and you end up just kind of gradually acquiring injury, essentially. And I talked to a doctor when I was, I don't know, I think late 20s or maybe early 30s or something like that. And, I said, I've got this pain, in my back. And so I was describing different things about lifestyle and stuff. And he pretty definitively said it's guitar. That is the source of your problems.
Yeah, it is. My teacher always said that this is a wholly unnatural thing for us to do.
Yeah.
This makes no sense, and we're contorting our bodies to do this.
Yeah.
What's the choice? Yeah, it's like upright bass players get the shoulder thing, where the left shoulder, if you're a right-handed player, your left shoulder will be higher than your right shoulder. By a little bit, but it's there because you're like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. The ergonomics is so important. One of the things I talk with students a lot, all of us, usually adult students will come and they'll have the action way up.
Okay.
And they're like, my left hand gets tired.
Yeah.
And I see them playing like this. You see that this is a don't do that. And the action is really high.
Yeah.
And like, it hurts and I have no speed. You think? All right. Let's. I try not to sound snarky.
Right.
But let's, drop the action.
Yeah.
Got to do a good setup. Use good technique. Look at classical guitar technique.
Yeah.
Look at flamenco technique.
Yep.
Do you ever see the Bowbury book about the Segovia technique? I think it's actually called the Segovia technique.
No, I haven't seen
Old book. And this guy, Bowbury,
Okay.
who was a famous classical guitarist in Italy or something. Anyway, wrote this great book. And it's pictures
Okay.
that show exactly how
Yeah.
Segovia worked this stuff out.
Okay.
Highly influential for bass players.
Nice.
A lot of us have seen this book and gone,
Okay.
That's how you fix it. And it is doing the relaxed thing, the drop hand, the curved fingers.
That's really interesting.
That thing that you teach classical students.
Yeah.
It's this light,
Yeah.
curved thing.
Fingers. Yeah.
It translates to all these horizontal instruments.
Yeah. I take folks through the Christopher Parkening method books. Christopher Parkening was a student of Segovia.
Right.
And they have these really great pictures in there.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah, and I'm on there drawing little triangles and little angles and stuff like this is how, ideally you can do it. And it's interesting that you mentioned bass too, because when I was first learning the upright, I kind of got hip to this idea.
You got make the circle, thumb and second finger. Yep.
Yeah. And when I show folks that picture from the Christopher Parkening, but you can really see that the fingers all, imagine there's a neck here, they all kind of angle back, somewhere back here, there's like a point.
Right. Roughly lines up with your elbow or your wrist.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's kind of where it's going to land.
Yeah. So if you get your second finger kind of lined up with a thumb, and on bass we kind of do that sort of thing, with these two middle fingers on upright. But yeah, it's like if you can kind of get the thumb opposite the second finger or roughly in there, it's a really great way to keep your hand healthy because. There's the hand health, there's the back health, shoulders, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, I mean, you get weird shoulder issues. And actually, this is actually a really good time to show. This is the great secret I show students about how to hold your bass.
Okay.
Because everybody's like, they sit down like this, right? And everything's very square.
Yeah.
And they're like, this hurts here, and this is uncomfortable here. Why do? And I'm like, all right, no. Sit with your legs close to 90 degrees as you can. Take your fretting hand, lay it on your knee, line up your thumb with your second finger, just wherever your arm lands and is comfortable.
Yeah.
Put the neck over it and lift.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep. Nice.
Now just remember to do that for the rest of your life.
Right.
But that'll get you there, and it's that.
Yeah.
It's that thing, because I know that if I sit the instrument here, it just lands.
Yeah.
You know, and I go,
Yep. And I love how your elbow is positioned. That's one thing I talk to folks about is just like don't invest too much energy in putting the elbow out here.
yeah, this
And just let it
how do you I don't
like
know how
gravity
guys
take your
play.
elbow. You know.
I see some guys with the neck of their elbow going way out, and eventually they're going to be coming from the other side of the
Yeah.
fingerboard.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's got to be. This needs to be relaxed.
Yeah. Yep.
Because we talked about this before. As soon as the tension creeps in and your shoulder starts going up
Yeah.
on either side, you're done.
Yeah. Yep.
Pain will soon follow.
Yeah. Yeah. So good practice, good posture. So one thing I tell folks is change from the right leg to the left leg. You know, be able to play both ways, like the classical style, especially finger style. It just makes sense to have the strings angled that way because the hand doesn't have to do too much of an extreme here. You know. So
Yeah, as soon as you start twisting, you get that weird tension up through here, and you really can't. It's funny. This is something I told Jim I started to work on doing this.
Yeah.
You know, this 3 and 4 finger.
Yeah, that's cool.
But I realized, and this is why I see players do it, to really do it, it's got to be over here. So I need to set up another strap or something. So
Yeah. Nice.
this
I like that.
makes sense here.
Yeah.
So that's next.
Yeah, and spatially that can be a little bit to get used to.
Yeah. Because all of a sudden things are
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why I would try, you know, do both positions and all that. And on the classical, I think because the body's a little wider, and it's a lighter instrument. There are some that have suction cups that just sit under it, and there's one I've seen that has almost like a cushion, just a pad.
Just a pad, just
bring
get
that
it
up.
Yeah, I mean, this is why, like the Strandberg guitars and some of Rick Toone's designs and some of these makes sense. These funny cutouts that you see.
Yeah.
And then when you take it, you put it on one leg and you go, okay, that's really cool. That feels good. And then you put it on the other leg and you can let go because it just stays there.
Yeah.
That's genius to me.
Yeah.
Somebody really worked it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll mention John's Cables again. I do the online lessons, stuff like that. So
You do guitar and bass and ukulele and
yeah, yep.
if it's got strings.
If it's got strings and they can be plucked, then
There you go.
I'm going for it. I took up banjo not too long ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It does bring a smile to your face, though, when you play it. But
It does.
family members are not happy with it.
No, I think learning banjo is like learning bassoon. You should never do it around other people.
Yeah.
You know, you need to sort of show up fully formed.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Yeah. Earl Scruggs. Wait till that.
Yeah.
No, that's never going to happen. But
Banjo players, listen to the great Al Caldwell. Do you know Al?
no.
Amazing. He's Vanessa Williams' bass player. Guy's
Okay.
a monster bassist.
Okay.
And an incredible banjo player.
Yeah.
And he actually does like these, he calls them hillbilly albums.
Yeah.
But then he goes out and plays with Vanessa Williams, and he's playing 11-string bass with MIDI on top. And the guy's ridiculous.
Crazy. That's cool.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bela
he's-
Fleck. I've seen him a few times live, and of course I've heard him
Yeah, that's
in recordings.
pretty incredible.
Yeah. He's just.
And Steve Martin,
Yeah. Steve Martin. Yeah.
who's now plays a lot with the Steep Canyon Rangers. He's really, really good. You don't expect it, but
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, so yes, it's fun, but still, it's a bad joke.
I take it outside sometimes.
Oh, there you go. You
Yeah,
take the neighbors.
Torture the neighbors. All right. Thanks so much, John. And we'll see you all in the next one.
See you next time.